Hi, this is Dr. Lois Frankel with another tip for how you can tell people to go to hell so they look forward to the trip. Today I want to talk about loaded questions. A loaded question is one where there's almost always a presupposition to what the answer should be. You know these questions. People say things like, don't you think that we should do XYZ? Or don't you think that this is the wrong thing to do? Or don't you think that you can fill in the blank with almost anything? Don't you think that questions are rarely a question that you should answer? If you do, you're going for the bait. You're being set up and you're going to get put into a spitting match. When you hear a don't you think that question, your answer could be a number of things, none of which answers the question directly. It could be something like, actually, I don't think that, but it sounds like you do. So why don't you tell me what you think? Or it could be, that's a complex question. Why don't you tell me what you're thinking about it? Now, rarely does the person come back with, hey, but you didn't answer the question. And that's because it wasn't really a question to start with. So you don't have to worry about that. If they do come back with, hey, I asked you a question, what do you think about it? You could say, I see it a little differently, or it may be that you see it the exact same way. Now, a little variation on this is the question, but don't you think that? Now, as soon as you hear a but in front of a don't you think that, the person just totally negated what you said. So I may say something like, I believe that women need to assume more prominent positions in politics. And someone may say, but don't you think that? We've already made great strides, right? So that person is already saying, but we've already accomplished what we want to accomplish. I might say back, I personally don't think that, but it seems like you do. Why don't you go ahead and tell me what you're thinking? And it may just mean that they need to empty their cup, and you let them do that, and you move on. Now, there's a caveat here. You have to make sure that it is a loaded question, and it's not an honest question that's asking for information. An honest question asking for information usually starts with something like, what do you think about this? Or do you think we should do this? Or do you think we should do that? And you can take people at face value if they ask questions that way. And it's in your best interest to answer those directly and straightforwardly. Sometimes they turn into be loaded questions, in which case you can backtrack and you could say, well, let's just talk about what you're thinking about this. Okay? So be on the lookout for loaded questions, but don't assume that every question is loaded, because if you answer a question that is a legitimate request for information with a question back, that's going to make you look less powerful. So be on the lookout for the type of question and just don't get baited into asking, but don't you think that questions.